Hi everyone, today I'm going to be discussing the topic of World of Warcraft's drop in subscribers, a topic that is in no way controversial and I'm sure will not upset anybody whatsoever. Some people do get a little upset when this topic is brought up at all, let alone discussed, but I'm sure people who watch my videos will be smart enough to look at the drop in subscribers in a manner that will allow us to have a decent conversation about it. And no, that's not just me pandering to my audience by calling them smart. I mean, who needs to pander to the greatest subscribers in the world? In all seriousness, I'm by no means a diehard fan of Blizzard, nor am I unreasonably critical of them, or at least I don't think I am. I mean, there are people out there who think Blizzard can do absolutely no wrong, and there are people who think that Blizzard is terrible and should go bankrupt. I would probably place myself somewhere in the middle. I think World of Warcraft is an excellent game. I mean, I started playing with the release of Burning Crusade, and I don't regret it. I had fun playing WoW. And overall, I think the success of the franchise to this date speaks for quality, although, granted, popularity doesn't always equate to quality. However, if millions of people bought this game at one point or another, then there has to be a reason for it. Blizzard must be doing something right. And before someone points this out to me, I realize a lot of the drop in subscribers come from Asia, but I think it would, one, be naive to assume that subscribers in the West haven't gone down at all, and two, just because Asian gamers are leaving WoW doesn't mean it's not a legitimate trend to look at. I never understood why people just write it off just because the subscribers are coming from Asia, or leaving from Asia. But at the end of the day, they have reasons too for choosing other MMOs instead of WoW, and I don't think a more competitive MMO market is a good enough reason to just forget about them. Now, a lot of people point out that when new content doesn't get released, subscribers begin to drop, and I think it's very clear the correlation there. In fact, like WoW Krendor made a video recently where he discussed this same topic, and he was saying how it's been an entire year since Siege of Orgrimmar was released, which is pretty bad. I mean, you can't go an entire year without expecting subscribers to cancel their account. But I think that's more of a subscriber drop in the short term, whereas WoW has been slowly declining over the long term as well. And that's more of what I want to talk about today. Now, I just want to point out that there's still a good 6 million people who pay for WoW monthly, so it is by no means dead. Not to mention, Warlords of Draenor is of course going to bring back a lot of people because it's a new expansion, but I think most people would agree that the peak of WoW's popularity has passed. Lots of times when this topic is brought up, people will point to a certain patch or a change in the game that, quote, killed WoW. I think the reason for WoW's decline isn't necessarily because of an enormous mistake on Blizzard's part, like some people claim. I mean, sure, Blizzard has made mistakes that have turned people away from the game. For example, I personally didn't really like LFR or LFG. I'm completely fine with an improvement in the grouping system. I certainly don't miss the days of sitting in trade chat for 4 hours trying to find a tank, but the introduction of these two systems I feel like really damaged the exploration and the social aspect of the game. I mean, all the teleportation and the zero requirement for communication, I feel like has had a negative effect on gameplay. With that said, I don't think you can point to something like LFR or LFG and say that killed WoW. In Wrath of the Lich King, one of the main complaints that Blizzard received from my observation was that the game was too easy. So in Cataclysm, Blizzard responded to these complaints by making the game more difficult, to which people responded by saying the game is now too hard. Now from this you can draw the conclusion that maybe WoW players are hypocritical, but people who were complaining that Wrath was too easy were no longer the ones making the complaints. Now, why am I telling you this? Because we have to keep in mind that what one person finds as a negative change was actually a great addition to the game for some other person. Because of that, I don't think you can look at a certain change and label it as the cause of the drop in subscribers. People tend to overestimate the negative effects of some change and like to pretend that the sky is falling if they don't like them. Now, you could very well make the argument that I did that with my opinion of the grouping system, but I never claimed that LFR or LFG went so far as killed WoW. I think the current trend of WoW's decline in subscription numbers can be attributed to two very closely related reasons. Number one, World of Warcraft is an old game, and number two, the people who play World of Warcraft have changed over the time that WoW has been active. For example, I was a huge fan of Half-Life and Morrowind when I was growing up, but I probably wouldn't be able to sit down and play Half-Life or Morrowind for hours like I used to. trends and attitudes in gaming, as with all other media, changes over time, and I think it's a lot more difficult to get people to be excited for new things in WoW. I think Draenor looks promising, and I'm a bit more excited for this expansion than I was to both Cataclysm or Mists of Pandaria, so I genuinely hope that Blizzard can rekindle our interest in this game with Warlords of Draenor, and I am looking forward to it. I can't be the only one that remembers the first time that I hit level 40 and got a mount. Now, compare that excitement to being able to use mounts on a level 20 alt today, or getting a new mount on your main. Somewhere along the line, the excitement for World of Warcraft started to slip, and I think WoW's age has a lot to do with that. Instead of seeing raid instances with 24 other people as awesome and epic, we started to see them as tedious and time-consuming. Instead of wanting to see your badass character killing some dragons or orcs or elves or whatever, we instead began focusing on numbers and statistics on gear. You know, choosing that 1% increase in DPS over, say, a talent build that you found more fun. After playing for so long, I think many people have become disillusioned with WoW, and it went from this amazing, immersive experience of having a character in an online world to what it is today. I don't think World of Warcraft has changed all that much since its release, or when it was at the height of its popularity in Wrath of the Lich King. At its core, it's still a very similar game to what it was years ago. I think the people who play it changed more than the game itself. Thanks for watching.